Hi guys, ArchieLuxury.
Hi guys, ArchieLuxury. And who do I recommend in America? In America, who do I recommend for quality pre-owned wristwatches? David SW, David SW, David SW. Go to davidsw.com. He is the best, the greatest pre-owned dealer in all of the United States of America. David SW, David SW, David SW.
Hi guys, ArchieLuxury on the Paul Pluta channel. Today I'm doing paid review 21QB117. Quick wristwatch check. I'm wearing a Calatrava, my Patek 5127 Calatrava today. So there we go. This here is a paid advice with video follow-up. Hi Paul. I just sent you $65 US for advice and a video. Please see my question below and thanks in advance, Dennis. Hi Arch, long time fan of the channel. Pretty straightforward question here and would appreciate any suggestions, insights and advice. I've enclosed $65 US as I know you don't do shite for free. Okay, here we go. I noticed many collectors have several books on watches and horology, and as I looked into such books for myself, I have come across a lot of options, some of which are super expensive. Fight me dead. What books would you recommend and why? Dennis. Okie dokie. So he's asking about building a library. And I gotta tell you guys, yes, the books are expensive. And let's just have a quick sticky at my book collection. Okay guys, we'll just have a bit of a sticky beak at my book collection here. I'm just filming this video. Let's go and have a look. So guys, in my study itself there, I have quite a lot of books. Books. More books you can poke a stick at. Not only do I have books, but I also have an extensive magazine collection. I have catalogs, and as well, of course, books themselves there. So what do I think? I've also, because I'm a Patek Philippe lover, I love Pateks, I've got a special bookcase here. This is the bookcase where I store my boxes, my watch boxes for watches I own. These are the boxes. I don't have the watches here, of course, they're in a bank safe, but I keep the packaging here. And you can see also this is my Patek book collection. So what do I have here indeed? So I've got all sorts of stuff. I've got those blue books there, those 3 Patek books. That's the Mondani books, super expensive. They're like 1,000 US for that 3-piece set. I've got the big Patek book there, Patek Philippe by Nick Folks. I've got Patek in America. I've got all sorts of books. Those magazines, you can see some magazines there. That's any magazine that covers a Patek Philippe that I own. I've got catalogs, brochures, old catalogs, old boxes. In fact, anything to do with Patek Philippe, I basically just collect. So you can see there, that's my Patek Philippe collection. So what do I collect? Anything on Patek Philippe, I will buy. And I've invested thousands of dollars. I've got all sorts of books here, all sorts of books. So books, brochures, absolutely anything. Expensive, yes. Now, I got to tell you, I did ask this individual, we'll talk about this in a minute, So that's my Patek books. I've got a very nice selection of Rolex. You can see Rolex. I've got a big Audemars Piguet book. I got some Lange catalogs. I've got some Cartier, and I've got quite a lot of general books as well. So that's watch books, and of course my catalogs. What are my brochures and catalogs like? Well, have a look at this. Here's some more Patek stuff that didn't fit in the cupboard. I've got Tudors, Breitlings, IWC, Lecoultre. Those red books are Cartier. I've got all sorts. I've got a lot of Rolex catalogs. I've got any sort of watch book, Omega, Vacheron, anything I could get my hands on, I have grabbed. Not to mention magazines. Magazines is a car. I love classic cars. Here is my Patek Philippe magazine collection. I've got Revolution, that's a watch magazine. All sorts. I got the Rake. That's the same guys who write Revolution magazine. Weiko, whatever his name is. I've got Louis Vuitton books, catalogs, Japanese magazines and brochures, everything to do with the hobby. Absolutely everything possible. So, bit of a, how would you put it? I'm a bit of a hoarder. I've even got it. This is where I also store my straps. The quality straps here. So you can see this is kind of the extent. I'm fortunate enough to have my own little man cave. So that's exactly what I've done. I've made this a kind of a reference library for myself. So when you say you want to get books, let's just change angles. When you say you want to build a library, my advice really is to do it one step at a time. You don't have to frantically complete this library instantly. So it can be a work in progress. By all means, you don't need to hurry. What I generally tend to do is this. The best books are specialist books on one brand. So, for example, you know, I'm making this video, I've got a couple of books to talk about, and the book I want to talk about now is actually on my shelf. Just hang on there. This is what I tend to do is search for books. This is a Patek book. So I find the best books cover one brand, okay? So whether that's Rolex, Patek Philippe, whatever brand. So my honest advice to you would be, try and work out, is there a brand you seriously love? Now, I did ask this question. I actually I emailed Dennis and said, hey, just give me a bit more. I'm just following up. I want to know. Oh, he said to me, sorry, that's what he said to me. I said to him, what sort of watches do you collect? Rolex, regards, Archie. And he said, look, current collection, he's got a Rolex Explorer 2 Polar. He's got a JLC Reverso Classic Small Seconds, a Zenith Chronograph, and a 1974 Omega Geneve, and he's thinking about a Tudor Pelagos. So he hasn't got one brand he definitively collects. He's sort of a generalist. And whilst there's nothing wrong with that, the problem is if you have a scatterbrain sort of collection, you don't really want to stock up on specialist books for each of those watches. It'll cost a fortune. And for me, you can see just with that footage I showed you of my collection, I've specialized in Patek Philippe. Patek Philippe stuff is what I go out of my way to collect. And for example, if you get Patek books, these here, this is just covers Patek. So this sort of book here is an excellent reference source. This particular book here, what I love about this book here is that it covers the complicated watches. And it tells you, I like to know where the history of perpetual calendars come from, what is the referencing, what's the models, etc. And the beautiful thing with this book itself is that it gives you the entire it gives you an entire history. For me, I love the history of the world time, so it gives you examples of the world time, because I own a world time, so to me that's a very dear subject, and that is why I really, this book is worth its weight in gold, because it covers topics that I'm interested in. Especially, it gives me the lineage of the world times. I can see what models were there. It gives me the lineage of perpetual calendar, chronographs. It gives me all these special things which I want to know that information. So it's these sort of books here. If I only had one Patek, I don't know if I'd buy a specialist history book like this. I mean, I might, but this is like 150. This is actually an out-of-print book. I've actually got 2 copies of this because I know how hard they are to get. These are like $150. I think about $100 and something plus shipping for this one. So I don't think I would specialize in books on each. If you've got one watch, I don't think I would specialize in as many books as I could on each of those watches, because it's too generalist. What I find as a good thing to do is, if you've got a multi-brand collection, I'll tell you some great books. There's a great book, A Man and His Watch. This here is very, very popular. A lot of YouTubers, watch YouTubers, have this book. It's not that expensive. A Man and His Watch. In the same series, they've also got A Man and His Car. It looks at individual stories of watches. That's a really good book. Generalist watch books never tend to be that good. Okay, so what's a general? This is a generalist watch book. So it's got photos of different genres. It shows you what was there. Doesn't really specialize. This is a kind of a, but these books, there we go, it's got a rare white Explorer 2. That's actually the cream dial 16550. These are quite affordable. These generally tend to be about $30, $20 to $30, $40. So those are generalist books, but the generalist books, they tend to be a bit, that they aren't the best, okay, because they cover such a broad topics. They don't cover anything in real detail. This is a great book, Celebrity Watches. So it goes through celebrities and the watches they may have there. So very, very, very interesting sort of a book. That's kind of an interesting book. So celebrity watches there. Cult watches. Again, this here covers very generalist sort of topics. They tell you a bit about it, but they don't go into a lot of detail. For example, they cover the Rolex Submariner, but it's kind of, it's just half a dozen 6 pages on the Submariner. You know, it's kind of doesn't cover it well. So my general advice is, I've got to say this, with my own collecting, I decided to really specialize in Patek. Like, instead, I've got 4 Pateks. Instead of having 4 Pateks, I could have had 2 Pateks, a Lange, and maybe a VC, you know. But the problem is, to actually collect all the reference material would be a massive undertaking, as well as extremely expensive. And that's part of the reason why I said, instead of having a mishmash of a collection, I'd specialize in something like Patek. And that's then I can justify buying the books on Patek. So in many ways, sometimes in your collection, if you've got a generalist sort of collection like you've got there, I don't know whether it's worth buying specialist books, because you don't have enough skin in the game. I would generally just buy general books on the watches, which are a hell of a lot cheaper, but they don't have a lot of substance to them. So my own opinion is, as far as books go, it's not a super fast race. If you add 1 good book a year, that's a great way to go. Yes, they are expensive, but generally speaking, the books actually hold their value. When they become out of print, they can become really expensive. So I wouldn't be too afraid to say, okay, the books themselves there, okay, you can add 1 good book a year. That's how I do it. Just do it slowly. You don't have to have a complete library like mine in 5 seconds. I'd add to it slowly. The other thing is, there's a lot of general books, like that book, when that came out, A Man and His Watch, very popular. It's not the greatest book. Like, I wish it went into more detail on certain watches there, but it's okay. The other thing you can do is you can add all the catalogs. Collect catalogs for the watches you've got. Get the catalogs. And catalogs, you usually can get those for free from a retailer. So you don't have to always spend money to build a nice library. A lot of the catalogs that I have, I got for free. I did buy some. Yes, you can. Particularly with the Pateks, I bought a lot of vintage catalogs because they're out of print for 20 years. You know, I wanted them. And they are quite valuable. But I would say, as far as building a collection of reference material, sometimes you're better off to steer your collection into one area, see? Instead of having a shotgun sort of collection, a Speedy, a Submariner, a Tudor, a Cartier, a JLC, instead of having a scatterbrain sort of collection, there's a lot of merit for just collecting one brand, like just Rolex or just Omega, because then if you hone in on one brand, it encourages you to get all the books for that brand. And I've done the same. I've actually collected a lot of Rolex books. I've only got 3. Well, I suppose should be fortunate. I've got 3 modern Rolexes, and I've owned a lot of Rolexes, so I like to have the books. There are books, the Madani books. That's the Italian. I've got the Madani books for the Pateks. Then it's really expensive. I don't find them that great because they're not English. English isn't sort of their language. They're more photo references. Serious collectors collect absolutely every printed piece of material that was ever said about their topic. That's what they do. But I haven't, I've got the Madani for my Pateks, but I wouldn't dream of getting the Madani books for my Rolexes, because I'd need the Madani Submariner Madani, I'd need the Explorer 2 Madani books, and also the Milgauss, you know, so it's quite, I've got modern stuff. I don't really need to have the Madani sort of books. They're really dear. So my advice is, these generalist sort of books, go on Amazon and get some general books. That's the best way to go. That's how I'd build it. Build your collection every 6 months. If you've got money, buy a couple of books. But I'd definitely say, if you've only got one Rolex, do you really want to get the library of Rolex books? It's kind of so... It makes you really want to specialize in that area there. So that's kind of how I see that. So yeah, that's the way. So there's a lot of inexpensive things you can do. Inexpensive, you can get books like this, A Man and His Watch, just simple general books. You can collect the catalogs, you can collect magazines. There's all these things, and over time it just grows. Believe you me, you're talking to a hoarder. So that's kind of what I would do. The specialist books, you only really want to specialize in a topic if you've got multiple, 3 or 4 watches, and then it justifies having the books on that topic. Otherwise, I don't know if I'd do it, but I hope that gives you a bit of food for thought there. The watches themselves are the hobby. The books kind of, I'm the sort of person who likes to know the history of all these watches. When I look at my Patek World Time, I can see, oh, there was this model, there was this model, there's this model that led to... I like to see that, so that's why I've gone that way. But yes, they are expensive, but start off small. Start off small, and it also helps you grow your collection. You realize, hang on a minute, instead of having Rolex, JLC, Zenith, and Omega so scatterbrainy, maybe just pick one brand and stick to it. So that's kind of what I hope that helps there. I hope that gives you some ideas there. The general books, just search. I normally go to Amazon or eBay, search Rolex on Amazon in the book section. That brings up the books. That's normally how I've found things. And I mean, I've been collecting for a long time. It pains me. Sometimes I was living overseas. I couldn't take them all home. I had to sell a few off because of just the weight. They're heavy damn things. And then I tried to rebuild them. I went out and bought these books to reproduce what I had. You know, that's very upsetting. But yeah, the books themselves, it's quite a good pursuit. Just do it slowly. Do it slowly, and get the catalogs. Get catalogs, and older catalogs can be very interesting. And you can often buy them pretty cheaply on eBay. So that's a few ideas. Okay, guys, I hope that helps. I'm ArchieLuxury. Guys, remember, I can't survive on Google Ads alone. I need paid reviews. Paid reviews help me stay full-time on YouTube. Without paid reviews, I really cannot survive. Paid reviews, guys, $50 US. Look down below in the description. Get a paid review and helps keep me full-time on YouTube. Hey guys, check out one of my best friends, Jamie Opulence, on YouTube. Just go to Jamie Opulence on YouTube. A fantastic channel from my good friend Jamie. Check it out, guys. Hey guys, ArchieLuxury. Guys, I want to introduce a new service to you. ValueYourWatch.com. Proud supporters of ArchieLuxury. No seller's fees, no buyer's fees. That's right, guys. This is a trading platform to buy or sell watches. You can start selling for free. That's right. We advertise our paying for our paying subscribers on Google, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. It's a global platform. That's right, guys. Get $50 off the annual subscription by applying the coupon Archie when you check in there. But guys, you can try this for free straight away. Guys, you can start listing watches. ValueYourWatch.com. Give it a try and tell me what you guys think of that.
Friend me, me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. Friend me, me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. Friend me, me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me. Friend me, me. All these neck just wanna be a mini me.
Like, subscribe, and tell your friends, and don't be afraid to get a paid review. $50 for a paid review. It helps me stay full-time on YouTube, and I will see you in the next one. $50 paid review. I can't survive on Google Ads. I need your support. And guys, you could also sponsor me on Patreon. Patreon allows you to pay as little as $1 a month to keep me on YouTube.
Hey guys, ArchieLuxury. Who do I recommend for watches in Brisbane and Sydney? Vintage Watch Co. That's correct. Vintage Watch Co. in Brisbane Arcade in Brisbane and the Strand Arcade in Sydney. Vintage Watch Co. Brisbane and Sydney. Ronnie, I've known him since the late 90s. Ronnie is a top bloke. Luke is a great guy. Vintage Watch Co. That is who I recommend in Australia. Check out Vintage Watch Co. and the guys' amazing range of watches. They also do service and repairs. Vintage Watch Co. That is where the Pontiff goes. You know, some of my Pateks came from Vintage Watch Co. That's right, guys. Vintage Watch Co.